This is our Joe Jam session, jamming with Joe. If you'd like a Shabbat shot, you can come up here too, grab a shot, join us. Come on in, grab a seat. No, it's all good. Come on in, everybody. We're starting to stream. We've got the YouTube and FaceTube. We got FaceTube going right now. So come on,
two.
So this is to get us a little bit more into Shabbat spirit. And if you want to have a Shabbat spirit, we have some Shabbat spirits up here too. So if you'd like to join us in a l'chaim, a little bit of oneg, please grab a shot. So Joe, do we have a theme for tonight? I don't know. I didn't know if there was a unifying idea that inspired. So no, but what this does gives us a chance to do some music outside of a Shabbat service or liturgical music, and get to share a little bit more time with Joe. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and we're going to enjoy some music.
Oh, welcome back, y'all. Thanks so much for coming out. For those still wandering, are there people still wandering in from the Oneg, or do we have them all here? Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Live at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, Mr. Cody Jinks from Victoria, Texas. Last week, doing it again with the bull that you know and love. Looking for 8, folks. He's looking for 8. Who in this room right now has been to the state of Texas before? Okay. What happened? What? Yes, Whataburger. Yes. Born in Corpus Christi. Oh, beautiful Corpus Christi. Smells like the ocean. The dark side of the ocean everywhere in Corpus Christi, except for Whataburger, which smells like Whataburger. Well, the great state of Texas sent me a text earlier today, before Shabbos, of course, and said it would love for y'all to visit again. Who, however, who has not been to Texas? I see. Well, I'm going to play all this, and as well, fantastic. I'm going to play this song, and I want you to know there's a little tour of the state of Texas if you've never been, so you'll feel like you've been there. I was hired by the El Paso Jewish Federation one time to play for Israel Independence Day. This guy calls me up and he says, Joe, and I'm not going to repeat his accent, but it was the most delicious Israeli accent you've ever heard in your life. And he goes, you do Israeli folk music, right? And I said, no. I know some cats who do it, though. I'll gladly connect you. He goes, no, the rabbi loves your music. It's going to be great. I said, what's this for? He goes, it's for Israeli Independence Day. I said, okay. And at the time, I was like, I've never been to Israel. And he goes, it's fine. The rabbi loves your music. I said, oh, fantastic. So I said, listen, man, I don't want to misrepresent. How about I send you some tunes, and we'll catch up before I come out there, and you let me know if you're into it. He goes, oh, sounds good. So I called him about a week before the gig, and his name was Itan. And I said, Itan, what do you think? And he goes, I haven't heard it yet, but the rabbi loves it. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, so I get out there. I'm in front of about 500 Jews in this room in El Paso, Texas. And I said, I've never been to Israel. And you could have heard a pin drop in that room. It's not what they were expecting from the artist that they brought in for Israel Independence Day. And I said, but I have been to Texas. And somebody in the back was like, ow, like that. Like, wow, either you've had enough to drink or you're my people. So I'm going to play this tune about the state that I first met God in. I think anywhere you go is holy and sacred ground. That's where your feet take you. That's where your choices have led you. You take holy places with you everywhere you step. I had to change the lyrics of the song because I have now been to Israel. Well, yes, I've been to Israel, but I've also floated the Frio River. They don't make hummus at Neil's. They make a mean chicken dinner. The mesquite trees and them singing leaves, well, they always remind me of God. Floating back in tubes, well, it feels so darn good that it might get out alive. Well, Texas, oh Texas, is like a holy land to me. It's a place where the heavens feel close. Yeah, where God told me to see. Yeah, and if I don't make my way, it'll make my way back across that sea someday. I'll be glad I lived in Texas, where I first found the reason to pray. Oh, pick it up! When I was a kid, I was trouble born and trouble dead. No one thought I'd make it to 15. I was such a mess, it's true. Struggling, well, I did my best, and the getting good was getting pretty lean. I believe God's where you are. We met under that lone star between you and God. There ain't no one between. If you're feeling down, well, my friend, just come on down to the state where the name means anything but mean. Here's a little tour of our state for you. I like Dallas nights, I like Austin loud. I like a buckle at the rodeo, I'm Houston proud. San Antonio's got you beat on the Pico. You can check your mail interlingual in a Speedo. Man, oh man, well, that country's fun. In the piney woods, far west sun. Every Robert Earl King song is a winner. You can crank it while you're propping up the cooler by the river. Texas, oh Texas, like a holy land to me. Place where the heavens feel close. Yeah, where God told me to see. Well, if I don't make my way, it'll make my way back across that sea someday. I'll be glad I lived in Texas, where I first found the reason. Yeah, to pray. Here's a little tune about all the times that we gather up, maybe outside the synagogue. We get together in backyards and we pop a top on someone's porch. We're not too worried about how well we're dressed. We're not too worried about whether we said the blessings exactly right. We're not too worried about how much we know or don't know, or who's sitting next to us, or how many times we've been to shul or anything like that. We're just thinking about being folks. I've found some incredible gatherings over the years and spending time with Jewish communities, both inside the synagogue and outside. And so I was like, kind of reminds me of those times, when you go to a place and you just feel good. There's never been a Jewish community, synagogue or otherwise, that I've been to that I felt like a stranger in, ever. It just feels like family I haven't met yet. So it's real good to meet y'all. It's like super great to spend some time together. I don't know if I'll ever see you again. That's the truth. I don't know if I will ever see your face again in the time that I have left. But I'm really glad I got to see it tonight. So I wrote a song about those gatherings, just like this one. This is called Better Angels, and it goes like this. By the way, if any of this feels good and you want to jump in, of course, you're invited. But again, like anything else tonight, you don't have to. There's no pressure on you. No work. It's still Shabbos. Well, my better angels, they may be looking for me. And they can find me here at the end of the street, where the broken-hearted people and the long-day folks meet, and nobody's watching what's on the TV. It's just, how's it going? How you doing? How have you been? Well, it's so darn good to see you again. What's been hard for you? Well, and what can I do? if you just need a little silence, we got that too. Well, the table's really something to write home about. It's just full of good food and there's friends all about. Well, and nobody's wearing their Shabbos best. They just got on what they got on when they got dressed. And it's how's it going, how you doing, and how have you been? Well, it's so darn good to see you again. What's been hard for you? Well, and what can I do? And if you just need a little silence, we got that too. Happiness a fickle feeling, and it comes and it goes. Chasing that's like trying to wrestle shadows. So don't spend all your days just chasing dead ends. Just make kindness your mantle, seek others, my friend. And it's how's it going, how you doing, and how have you been? Well, it's so darn good to see you again. What's been hard for you? What's been hard for you? Well, and what can I do? If you just need a little silence, we got that too. How's it going? How you doing, and how have you been? How's it going? How you doing, and how have you been? Oh, now we're back in the bar room. It's so darn good. Well, it's so darn good to see you again. What's been hard? What's been hard for you? What can I do? Well, and what can I do? Just need a little silence. We got that too. My better angels are maybe looking for me, and they can find me here at the end of the street. My wife and I turn the word midrash into a verb. We midrash all the time, and we'll study some Torah, and come up with an idea, and realize some things that were misunderstood. You know, I should probably tell you the story that I sort of alluded to a little bit earlier. Is that the right word? Eluded. I feel like I can look at Rick and be like, "Is that the right word?" Like a word maestro over here. I know, poetic license, right? It's a beautiful thing. So I grew up in Houston, Texas. We have the largest conservative synagogue in the country. Yeah, no, everybody's like, what? Lots of Jews in Houston, let me tell you what. But I never met a Jewish person growing up. I didn't. No, I mean, obviously no one introduces themselves like, hey, I'm Harold and I'm Jewish. Like, that'd be odd if they did. They didn't do it. And Harold, he may have been Jewish. I don't know. I liked Harold a lot. He's a good guy. It's true. Real guy, Harold. Such a good fellow. My grandfather called me over to a window when I was very young. I lived with him until I was 6. And he said, Joe, look outside. You can see God in the world and the way people work. He said, if God wants anything from you, it's live a good life. That made total sense to me as a kid. So much sense. So I was like, all right, I can do that. And I was immediately hungry for knowledge about God. I just wanted to know about God, especially if you believe in a creator. I mean, come on, don't you? Especially when you're young, right? Don't you want to know? Like, wait, what does God think of me? Does God know me? My grandmother was convinced that God did because she was always like, Joe, God's watching. Go to bed, God's watching. God saw that. And I'm like, well, what does God think about that? And she's like, God heard that too. And my grandmother, real clear, her and God were, I guess, partners. But there wasn't a Bible in the house. My grandparents never went to church. They were like armchair preachers, but they seemed to know everything. And I believed them because everything was like, had this message of love kind of woven through it. My grandparents were just a real gift to the world. I moved in with my folks when I was 6 years old and was told there's no talk of organized religion or God in this house because my dad said, if I can't see God, God doesn't exist. I don't want that here. And you did not argue with my father. However, I found I could stay the night with my friends on Saturday night. And if I did that, it meant you had to bring a change of clothes because you're going to church in the morning. And I found out some things. I started going, oh, they have this book that says all this stuff. And you can't ask questions in the middle of Mass. That's not appropriate. And like all the times that and I found out the more I asked, the more I was told that I was just wrong in the way that I viewed God. And I would argue against that. I'm like, wait a minute, it doesn't make sense. And I won't go into the details, but I'm sure anyone who's been through those things understands what I'm talking about. I just found out there was a lot I didn't agree with and didn't make sense. But I kept hearing that there was something wrong with me and that I was damaged goods and not good enough for God as I was. And I started believing that. Nobody's fault. It's just what happened. I finally walked away from that, figured God and I would settle up at some point. And fast forward down the road, I met my wife working in a gaming store. We sold D&D and board games. We didn't get a lot of customers, but we still play to this day. And in she walked. I lost my mind, felt crazy in love, and was introduced. I played her a song, and we got married. So music totally works. And I asked her, I said, what do you think about God and all that stuff? She's like, I'm not into it. So I went to a couple of like churches that were nearby. I'm like, let's go study about you. And she's like, she wouldn't sing or do anything. She didn't take part in anything. And I found myself in the same struggles I had before. So I was like, I guess this isn't for me. We walked away from all that stuff. Fast forward 13 years. I'm getting to the end of the story. I promise you. Like, we're here for music, not for whatever this is. We're standing outside the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. By the way, the Holocaust Museum is not why we went to D.C. We were there for the rest of it. We went to the Spy Museum before that. So if it gives you an idea of where we were, we're getting pizza later, the whole thing. And then we went in the Holocaust Museum. And we're standing on the sidewalk afterwards, shaking, trying to make sense of the world. And my wife says, she looks at me and she says, I want to get in touch with my people's faith. And I said, what? Who are your people? And she's like, I'm Jewish. And I said, what? When did you get Jewish? And she's like, I was born Jewish. And I start mansplaining. I'm like, you can't be born Jewish. That's not a thing. What? And she's like, Joe, it's how it works. I'm like, you don't know how it works. She's like, you don't know how it works. And I said, that's also true. And she's like, our son is Jewish. And I said, does he know that? And she's like, no. And I said, what just makes you Jewish? She goes, my mom is Jewish. I said, I know that. I said, wait a minute. That just makes you Jewish? I kid you not. This is the conversation. She said, I have a Star of David necklace in my jewelry box. I said, I know. I thought you were just supportive of your mother. You don't wear that. She didn't wear it. There was no talk of being Jewish. There was no observance. There was no Shabbos. There was no Shabbat. There was no lighting candles. She didn't grow up with Hebrew school or Jewish summer camp or go to a synagogue. Her mom was in the Air Force. She lived all over the world. She went to Crete. All over the world, Crete and Missouri. And San Antonio. But she moved around. Parents split up when she was very young. So being Jewish was identity. I'm Jewish, but there was no knowledge of what does that even mean. Her family descended from Russian Jews, like this big rich history. And I was like, she goes, by the way, our first date was my cousin's Jewish wedding. I said, I know. The AC went out. It was a free bar. It was the best wedding I've ever been to in my life. And anyway. So I'm going to fast forward to the end of this because I want to tell you, somebody asked me, what made you want to convert to Judaism? And so I want to tell you what that was. It wasn't because my wife was Jewish, and so I just want to be Jewish. That's not it. I believe that if you are going to dive into something, make sure it's what you want to dive into, and make sure you can stand next to it, alongside it, defend it, study it, believe in it, and support it. Make sure that can be owned by you as yours. And I was hungry for that, but something real. So we found this rabbi that was close to the house. It was a conservative synagogue only because it was 20 minutes from the house. I mean, it could have been Reform, Reconstructionist, Orthodox. It could have been anything. This is what was close to the house, and I was a fan of proximity. I'm like, only 20 minutes away, no traffic. Let's go there. So we go. I'm a bad dancer. And we walk in the door. Stuart Federow, who's 7 feet tall, I kid you not. We open the door. This is his real voice, approved by him and his children. Hi, Stuart the rabbi. That's how we talked. And I said, well, hi, my name is Joe. This is my wife, April, son, Nathan. They're Jewish. I'm not. And none of us know what that means. And he goes, do you want me to just explain it all to you? And I said, that'd be great. Thanks. And he goes, all right, here's the deal. This is what he said. Looked right at me. Looked right through me. He said, there's one God, and there's nothing wrong with you. He said, you do good because it puts good in the world. It's not for a reward later on or fear of punishment. He said, the good you see in the world is a reward for doing good. He said, and you're loved by your Creator just like this. You don't have to be Jewish or anything else to be loved by God. That's done. That's already done. You're part of creation. He said, and we don't know what happens next. We don't. Soul goes back to God who gave it. He said, but we know what happens now, and this is the gift, and you have to take care of it. It was like talking to my grandfather again. It was like 30 years of therapy like that. I didn't realize, I mean, I'm serious, I didn't realize I was carrying a weight. And all of a sudden it was gone. I was like, wow, I just lost like 40 pounds. I don't know how that happened. I felt amazing. I jumped in as fast as I could. It turns out you can't do that fast. There's a process. And I said, I want to be Jewish. How do I do this? He's like, that's a lot. And he's like, you don't have to. But I was like, no, I'm here for it. How do I do this? This is what I'm looking for. This makes sense. He was great. Be here Wednesday. My wife and son went through the conversion process, even though they didn't have to. They took all those classes. By the way, if you've never attended an Intro to Judaism class, even if you're born Jewish, by the way, we all choose every day to be chosen. That's a choice that we make every day, whether you're born into it or you choose it later on. But if you've never taken an Intro to Judaism class, I highly recommend it. They're super amazing, and you will learn so much cool stuff. Anyway, Judaism changed my life, brought our family closer, reconnected April back to her folks, and just did so much for her. I started writing music to explain how I felt and what I was learning. I didn't know Jewish music was a thing. I grew up on old country and stuff, and so that's what I did. And then later on, someone's like, you know any Debbie Friedman? And I was like, who? And they were like, the color like drained for like, how dare you? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know who that is. Of course, I do now. Anyway, that was a long way around the barn to get to the front door. So thank you. Thanks a bunch. April and I, we were reading the story of the garden, and it was wild to me how much it looked like a coming-of-age tale. Eve was blamed for so many things when I was growing up. By the way, I never heard anything anti-Semitic. I didn't hear that until I became Jewish. That's true. It didn't start flying at me until people saw that I was Jewish. That was wild. But I never, Eve was blamed for the bad in the world, and we're going to die because of what Eve did. We would have lived forever, which I like the Queen song. Like, who wants to live forever? That sounds terrible. Anyway, so the more we studied, I felt like Eve needed a love song, so we wrote this song. It's called A Song for Eve, because I'm not that creative. Where would we be if the world didn't taste so sweet? Would we be the partners that we were meant to be? 'Cause in that garden was life. You could only grow so high. We were never eternal, but living on given time. When God made you, it was no mistake. Creation was done and it was good for goodness sake. Cause if you wanted to grow out of that garden, you had to go to struggle out in the world. And that coming of age meant we were lifted right off the page, or to soar high and earn the right to be inscribed. When God made you, it was no mistake. Creation was done and it was good for goodness sake. And when you chose us, the fruit you ate, you gave us a chance to reflect the light that God made. Where would we be if not for Eve? Would we even be if not for Eve? All righty. We'll do 2 more tunes here, then we'll close it out. Maybe something, one more little soothing tune, and then, or y'all want to hear some kind of like ruckus? You want some ruckus? All right, let's do something kind of tough for those. We'll do something tough. Yes, indeed, it is. Nachman Shabbos. There are 2 albums out, Unbroken and Back from Babylon. Back from Babylon is our latest. You can check that out everywhere music is streamed. It's all out there for free. By the way, if you want to know like who those songs are for, they're for you. I wrote them specifically for you. So I just want you to hear them. They're out there for free. This is a hard song, kind of tough. This is about the people that didn't make it onto Noah's Ark. If you're gonna write country music, there's a lot of sad tunes in the Torah. Yeah, the song's called "Float," and not the reaction I expected, but I'm here for it. It said that Noah is the most righteous of his time, but what's the basis of comparison? Not great. Not real good. Noah didn't go knock on any doors and say, change your ways, or tell God, will not the God of justice do right, like Abraham did. He just says, oh, you got it, I'm going to build that boat, and didn't tell anybody. And people found out, and you got to imagine when people heard the news, they were like, hold up a minute, what? So this is a community leader coming to Noah and saying, we're going to talk about this. And this community leader is quite upset. And keep in mind, there's a difference between righteousness and self-righteousness. Well, I'm a simple man just trying to do the best I can. They tell me the world is gonna end. Somewhere there's a righteous man who got saved by following his God's plan, and we're all gonna drown in our sin. Well, now the water comes steady. Yeah, the water comes steady. Oh, the water comes steady when the rain comes down the field so heavy. Well, now the water comes steady. Yeah, the water comes steady. Oh, the water comes steady when the rain comes down the field so heavy. Noah, gonna build your boat. The Don't you know the rest of us don't float? I know God gave it to you, but can you use a few more on your crew? Out of here, music stand. Can you use a few more on your crew? And, well, what do my children do to deserve this fate, but not you? Can I get some saving too? Am I to die for all the killing, the stealing I've done? After all that I've been through, this is the world your God made. Tell me, what did God expect I would do? So no, don't you look at me with those righteous eyes, 'cause you can't see I'm a righteous man too. Here come and drop so hard. Give your family my regards, and I hope your guilt built a good ship too. Well, now the water comes steady. Yeah, the water comes steady. Oh, the water comes steady when the rain comes down. It feels so heavy. Well, now the water comes steady. Yeah, the water comes steady. Oh, the water comes steady when the rain comes down. It feels so heavy. Well, now the water comes steady. Yeah, the water comes steady. Oh, the water comes steady when the rain comes down. It feels so heavy. Well, now the water comes steady. Oh, the water comes steady. Yeah, the water comes steady when the rain comes down. It feels so heavy. Well, it feels so heavy. Now we got a special request tonight for a song I have not played in a very long time. This is off our first album, which is called Unbroken. This is a song called Sarah Laughed. It's about that moment when Sarah laughed. And sorry, my wife's like, you got to stop trying to tell jokes up there. You're real bad at it. I'm also a bad dancer. This is the only move. This is the only move I have. It's about that moment when Sarah laughed, and in the presence of the opportunity for a miracle that didn't make sense. Often miracles don't make sense. I love the idea that we can predict so much. We were talking about this tonight at dinner. We can predict so many things, right? We know what the tide is going to do. We know that the exact time that the sun is going to go down. We understand how the universe was formed, the building blocks of all life. When we understand these, it's incredible. We can predict the behavior of animals. But there is something that is wildly unpredictable, and that's us. My son asked me one time, he said, do you think everything we do is preordained? And I said, no, I don't. And he said, you're correct. And I was like, oh, great. And I didn't realize this was a test, little rabbi. And he said, and he goes, why not? And I said, well, if everything's preordained, then I don't know that our choices matter. And so much of the Torah is about our choices and what we do with the time we have. Our decisions, they matter. And he was like, okay, great. He said, well, do you think everything's chaos? And I said, not at all. And he was like, also correct. Great. It's like God gives us so many opportunities, and we get to decide what we do with it, but I don't think God knows what we're going to do, which I think is really cool. When Eve took a bite of that apple and had a sense of responsibility, what a beautiful awakening. I can choose to do the right thing, and I can choose to do the wrong thing, and I'm accountable for both. Offered it to Adam, of course, and and then they were like, oh, we got to get dressed, and we're in trouble. This is a song about miracles. Miracles abound in front of you and all around. You and I and she and him, and it's a miracle that life begins. Every time we think we're lost for good, the world keeps on turning just like it should. And out of The darkness came, let there be light. The miracles we're sharing space here in this life. The universe, a concert, and everything moves in time. And anything can happen when the moment is right. And Sarah laughed. The day begins the same way each time. The sun and moon and the stars, they all know their lines. Life has this heartbeat of its own, you know. The only thing unpredictable is the human soul. And out of the darkness came, let there be light. The miracles we're sharing space here in this life. The universe, a concert, everything moves in time. And anything can happen when the moment is right. Sarah laughed. We're the changing things. We're the dreamers and the shapers. We're the builders and the makers. Just living our lives. And I try so hard to see God's plan in mind, but I'm a rocky start. And maybe that's by design. Because I laugh and Sarah laughed. Well, out of the darkness came, let there be light. The miracles we're sharing space here in this life. The universe, the concert, everything moves in time. And anything can happen when the moment is right. And Sarah laughed. Sarah laughed. All right. I'm going to play you one more tune. This is called Say What You Will, and then I'll sing you a little lullaby here at the end to close out our evening together. This is not a drinking song, but it's kind of sort of become a bit of one. When I converted to Judaism, there was a lot of people who wanted to tell me what was and was not Jewish. And I'm like, I just went through the training. Like I don't know everything, because the Torah is a well that you'll always get more out of it, and it never stops giving, and it's a life study and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I know that I'm Jewish, and I've done what I need to do, and I'll continue to do it. By the way, I always feel like I'm trying to earn this, and I never want to stop having that feeling, and I always want to keep doing everything I can to earn this and represent who we are out in the world, because the truth is the world has no clue what it means to be Jewish. Truly doesn't know. Again, I grew up in Houston. A metric ton of Jews in Houston had no idea that Judaism was even a currently practiced religion. What does that tell you? The world doesn't know. And people are like, there's no way you didn't know your wife was Jewish. Yeah, no, it's totally a way. She didn't, I didn't grow up in a Jewish community, so how am I supposed to know that stuff? And I didn't have a Jewish best friend that I know of. Harold maybe was Jewish. We haven't determined that yet. All right. So there's a lot of people in your life that want to tell you how you should live it. There are people in your life you should listen to, and those you should go, thanks for the info. And some of those folks are such a gift. And so this is for all the gift givers. It's called Say What You Will. It goes like this. By the way, I'm going to talk about the fence. This is not the border fence. Let's be very clear. It's the fence around the Torah. Just because I'm from Texas, I'm not, it's about the fence around the Torah. Come on. All right. It goes like this. Well, say what you will. Well, say what you will about me, 'cause at least I'm trying to be free, just trying to do all that God asked of me. Just like that. Say what you will. Say what you will. There it is. Well, say what you will about me. At least I'm trying. At least I'm trying to be free, just trying to do all that God asked of me. We can be jaded at times, feel faded at times, and be tucked away. We're too far to see. We surrender to our inner lies and not feel the truth of who we're meant to be. 'Cause we're all a beacon of light to the seekers inside that want to be free. Say what you will. Well, say what you will about me. At least I'm trying to be free, just trying to do all that God asked of me. One more time. Say what you will. Yeah, now say what you will about me. At least I'm trying to be free, just trying to do all that God asked of me. So hold on to the tree, yeah, and all that you do, and be proud of yourself. Always be you, 'cause there's strength in our story, the strength in our song. We'll be alright in each other's arms. So build your fence, but don't build it so high that you can't see outside. Every soul is a beacon, each spirit a breath. We give to each other, but we forget what we left. So pray like a child, be the gift that you are. Not each other's judge, but each other's heart. Hey! Say what you will. Say what you will about me. At least I'm trying to be free, just trying to do all that God asked of me. Say what you will. Yeah, now say what you will about me. Oh, and at least I'm trying to be free, just trying to do all that God asked of me. One more time. Say what you will. Say what you will about me. At least I'm trying to be free, just trying to do all that God asked of me. Yeah, y'all sound so good. Now a little lullaby to send us off this evening. People ask if I play the same music when I play secular venues, and I spend about 3 weekends out of every month on the road in different communities around the country and doing these artist in residence weekends and visits and things like this. And I also play some festivals and some bars and stuff, and I do play the same music. I feel like if you're going to write music that you're going to stand alongside very proudly. And it's funny how many people come up afterwards, and I think it was in that article that got released in the paper, but there was a guy that came up one time and he was like, "Dude, was that some Hebrew?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm Jewish." And I was like, "Oh, that's great. Why are we whispering?" It's okay. It's okay. Well, the day is done and the night arrives like a prayer across the sky. Whisper sweet words before we close our eyes, and our dreams, they take us from the earth. Good night, my love. Good night, my love. Oh, now thank you for the light that you bring. Good night, my love. Good night, my love. Oh, good night, my everything. one more song before we close our eyes and we rest from the choices we've made. We thank you, God, for the life we've got and for the blessings today. Good night, my love. Good night, my love. Oh, now thank you for the light that you bring. Good night, my love. Good night, my love. Oh, good night, my everything. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Thank you for your holy and sacred time, everybody. Bedtime.